Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Asian Weather Forecast. This will be yet another tropical update on Invest 97 and Invest 98L, both which are really trying to organize here and possibly could be named rather soon here within the next 36 hours for both of these systems. So really watching this very closely. I mean, 98L could be named within the next 12 to 6 hours. So 98L is getting pretty impressive here, as well as 97L is trying to start blowing up in convection. So both of these disturbances are starting to get their act together. So maybe both of these could form before models pick up on them. So that could definitely change tracks that we have now and even intensity. But that's what we're going to be monitoring in this video. We're going to be taking a look at the tracks, the cone, timing, who has a chance to get impacted, what countries as well in the Caribbean could get impacted, everything on that as well. And also I will have my personal track here at the end of the video, so be sure to stay for the whole video to check that out here. But before we get in this tropical forecast, please subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys all so much for all the support. It really means a lot. Also hit the post notification icon so you get notified as soon as I do another tropical forecast, so you get the most recent and refreshed data. And last but not least, be sure to like the video so I know you guys like videos like these, so I continue to do them in the future. Without further ado, let's get in a video with Invest 97 and 98L. So here's the latest National Hurricane Center update. So here we have that Invest off the coast of, or about to be off the coast of Africa. It's still inland there in Sierra Leone. So there's another disturbance there. And here's 98L and there's 97L. So very active tropics here. I can tell all mainly in the tropical Atlantic. We do have two in the MDR, but we have one in the far southwestern Caribbean there, even just off the coast of Colombia. So actually pretty close to South America, but that's Invest 97L. And notice, look what Invest 97L has now. A 60% chance for being formed, or 60% chance for formation within the next 48 hours. That's a big increase there, and still an 80% chance for the next 5 days. So overall, we have a high chance for development within the next 5 days. I wouldn't even doubt if this gets named within the next 24 hours, really 30 hours, around that time frame, especially if it's going to continue to blow up like it is now. I mean, I think this could definitely form before models show. Alright, 98L, I think definitely the biggest threat out of all three, in my opinion, strength, track-wise, and all of that. But there it is at a 90% chance for the next 5 days, including 48 hours. So it has a very high risk for development within the next 48 hours. So that is definitely something to keep in mind, as this thing is definitely getting its act together. Really, convection's blowing up. It possibly has very close to a low level center closed, so could definitely be closed extremely soon here, which means obviously keeping out all the flaws out there in the MDR, making it very likely to possibly be at least a tropical depression by the end of today. You know, guys, I wouldn't even doubt this becomes a tropical storm in the next 6 hours here. So really something to keep in mind with 98L. Keeping in mind, obviously, that incoming MDR disturbance with a 30% chance, I believe. But yeah, really watching out the tropics here as they're really starting to get its act together. MDR's organizing, definitely seeing our peak of August activity. So here's our latest look here. Now Invest 90, Invest 90. 8L. So look at that. This is actually looking pretty organized. I mean, remember, this is an Invest. That looks extremely tropical cyclone like at least tropical depression. Look at that center convection. This thing definitely got its act together here. If we continue to pause this, you can kind of see really it looks pretty bad. It looks pretty bad a couple hours ago, but it's definitely got its act together, finding a new low pressure, and it looks like it's very well going to be closed extremely soon, with the low pressure being right there. Definitely seeing some good banding as well. So pretty impressive for an Invest. Let me just tell you that. Even if there was this was the depression, it looked pretty impressive. So yeah, looking very good here. We even saw some pinks pop up convection here. So having some very well defined center convection here, some nice banding, and this is actually very circular like. So definitely looking a lot tropical than it has really ever looked. Check out now visible high resolution here, so you can actually really see this cloud cover here in convection before it actually gets dark. So let me actually move this like that. And if you see here, definitely blew up in convection here. We kind of had a little area right here where it had to close off, and it's getting there. It really is getting there. It's not fully closed, and it's not confirmed to be closed, but it's getting there. See the latest run here before it got tonight. Look at all this convection right here. Very, very well. It looks like it's at the point where it could be closed at this point. Low pressure right there. A lot of center convection. Definitely some nice vorticity. Looking pretty good. I mean, it looks pretty close to me in the latest run. It looks pretty closed. Looks like a closed low pressure. It seems like this low pressure is pretty secure in my opinion. Let's check out now Invest 97L. So Invest 97L also trying to get its act together. As you see, starting to see some nice convection here, looking a lot more circular. The thing is this just a phase, or is it actually getting to the point where it could be as well, getting to the chance where it actually may have a 90, maybe 80% chance for development next 48 hours by 8 o'clock. So I think definitely the chance for formation in the next 48 hours will increase for 97L at 8 o'clock Eastern time on the National Hurricane Center. But definitely really watching out as both disturbances have really started to get its act together formation wise. Obviously can't really strength wise because they really were actually getting their strength to get their act together. There'd be a potential tropical cyclone, but yet they're not. So just keeping a close eye on these as they are trying to get close, especially 98L. 98L definitely obviously seems like it's going to be named to rather soon. I mean, as early as 11 p.m. Eastern today, maybe 2 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. So this could be named rather soon here, a lot sooner than the models anticipated, which can change the whole track, change the whole intensity, which is exactly why I'm saying don't rely on models 100%. But look at that. Yeah, that looks very good. I mean, look at that. That's actually a pretty large invest, if you ask me. I mean, that actually looks very organized. We got some nice structure here. Very nice structure, low pressure there. I mean, this looks pretty good for for invest structure wise. It is lacking. It is lacking the convection. Yes, I will mention that it is not having as much convection as 98L does. But we're seeing some big spots here that could lead into maybe a new big low pressure, finding a new center, creating us a very organized closed low, which obviously means we can be seeing a close call. Who will be named Laura first, or will this be Marco? That's exactly the question here. But I didn't think it was going to be a close call here. I thought 97L was definitely going to be named definitely be named way after 98L. But I mean, this is definitely changing a lot here. Nice structure. So 97L and 98L definitely looking a lot better. So here's look now at the current SSTs or sea surface temperatures for the Western Atlantic in degrees Celsius. So this will be in Celsius. But as you see here, Invest 97Ls around right here, just off the coast of Colombia right there, expected. The thing is, the more 97L strengthens, I mean, it's heading some really warm waters, so that's exactly why Florida is not off the table. If it does strengthen going those warmer waters and actually becomes a tropical storm rather soon, or if this becomes named sooner than expected, this could still have a threat for maybe the far western panhandle, maybe Alabama border. But if this effect here with 98L around right here, if this isn't affected, this could push 97L more southwest. But I think 98L is definitely far enough. The thing is, will 97L not become named as soon as as soon as it looks? I mean, it looks like it's getting there it looks like it's getting there really fast, but will it go to Central America and then just go into Mexico? So there's a big variety of areas that can get landfall from Mexico up to possibly Florida, but really extremely warm waters here, 31 to 32 degrees Celsius around Havana, around Jamaica, even near Cancun, the Yucatan Peninsula. Very warm water. So the question is, will a 97 now take advantage of going to warmer waters? It's around 28 degrees, 27 degrees Celsius where it is currently. It's just off the coast of Colombia, so some cooler waters. But when it goes right here, that's the question. Will it really strengthen, or will it strengthen but not to the point where it goes to Florida? But now obviously with 98L, really warm waters the whole way for 98L, especially once it gets past its PR and near Dominican Republic, Cuba, Bahamas. You guys 29, 30, even 31 degrees Celsius here. So could it have an Irma-like track where it goes like this and then boom, blows up because it's warm waters and then goes directly for Florida. I mean, models are really showing going all over this place here, so it's not as 100% for sure, but definitely 98L does have a lot clearer mind than 97L. So here's look now at the current tracks here for 98L. Let's go ahead and refresh. All right, this is actually the latest refresh. So you're probably saying, Adrian, why are you saying this is going to hit southeastern Florida? I mean, look at all that trend. They're all showing now doing an Irma, but actually not hitting Florida. Well, the reason is because a lot of these models, a lot of these tracks do follow GFS, Euro, those big models. And those big models, GFS and Euro, had the tendency to underestimate storms. Let me just tell you, GFS and Euro have not been in their A game this year, not even B game. I think they've been on their D game or not E game. Really, I mean, GFS and Euro, I don't understand, but that's exactly why these models think it won't strengthen a good bit within 3 days. I mean, 3 whole days to become something decently strong. I mean, like I said, the stronger this gets, the more likely the more north it gets, which is what I'm saying. If this does get named as early as 11 o'clock tonight, Eastern, this could change the whole track, where all these tracks are now up here, heading towards the Bahamas, southeastern Florida, eastern coast. I mean, we actually had our latest refresh have 2 models now showing hitting Florida, which weren't there. So that's improvement here. So I promise you guys, that once this does get named, at least a tropical depression, a lot of the models will go a lot more north, and I can almost guarantee that. Not saying the Eastern Gulf won't have anything. I'm just saying expect a northern trend here, more towards Miami, southeastern Florida, even eastern coast in general, Cuba as well. But either way, Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Lesser Antilles, even Cuba, you guys will see effects. I just don't think you guys will be seeing a direct landfall, but definitely going to be seeing effects, especially if it's going to be that strong of a system. Check out the GEFS tracks here. As you see, expecting it to possibly, the black line is the averaging out of all these tracks. And this actually shows it possibly making a direct landfall here, possibly for Homestead, the northern Keys, just south of Miami there, going up Florida and coming out the coast near Jacksonville. And that's going to bring some big effects for Savannah, Georgia, big effects for Charleston, big effects for the Norfolk area, Raleigh, Outer Banks, Outer Banks, for the coastal areas basically, because of 983 millibar storm. Some actually get this below sub 970, which you guys, if you don't know, that means category 3. So could definitely see some big effects all the way from the Lesser Antilles, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba, the Bahamas, all of Florida, eastern Florida coast, up to North Carolina. We can be seeing big, if not decent effects here. I could say significant effects here, especially if it's strong. And the history, GEFS has a history of under forecasting storms. So if we have a couple tracks here getting sub 980 millibars, and it has a history of under forecasting, who knows? That's a big threat that it has 980 already and it under forecast. So maybe could 980 be an under forecast? That's exactly what we don't know. All right, 98L intensity guidance tracks here. As you see, we can have a tropical storm as early as 6 hours or as late as 48 hours. I definitely see this being named before 48 hours, really. But as you see, we have a huge chunk of this getting named just around the next 12 hours here. And actually a lot, if you guys saw my video this morning, a lot more models get this to Cat 1. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, around over 9 models showing this being a Cat 1. Whether it's 60 hours or whether it's 144 hours. These, a lot more show that's getting to Cat 1, which means they have more confidence. Like I said, the stronger this gets, the more likely a Florida landfall. So I think chances for a Florida landfall are continuing to increase. And I don't mean panhandle landfall. I mean Miami, Homestead, maybe Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale, around that southeastern region area. Even the northern Keys can see a landfall. Everglades, those general areas, but definitely a huge increase. And I do expect, as this does possibly or could very well become a tropical depression at 8 o'clock Eastern, maybe as early as 11 p.m. Eastern, named storm, maybe, then I think we're going to be seeing a lot sooner getting to Cat 1, maybe even having more than one getting to Cat 2. So really monitoring this very closely though. 97 now. So 97L, here are the tracks. As you see, we can either see a far western panhandle landfall or going towards Houston landfall. Like I said, there's a lot of potential tracks and outcomes for 97L. I think we know a lot more about 98L, even though it's further out. But as you see, making landfall here based on a couple of models in like 144 hours here, if not 120 hours. So that's actually rather soon. But I think if it does hit the western panhandle, people are really ruling out Florida very quickly on 97L. But I would not do that, especially if it's organizing so fast here and it's heading to very warm waters. I mean, you saw those waters here, 29, 30, even some spotty 31 degrees Celsius. And if it's going to be slowing down, I mean, it could definitely head to at least Alabama border with Florida. I'm not saying Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas won't happen. I'm saying you can't rule out Florida that fast. But as you see, the majority are heading towards a kind of central Gulf storm. But I wouldn't doubt if we have more heading toward Florida, if not even Alabama, like that kind of more to the east. But, you know, with 97L, it's been nothing but unpredictable, really, or kind of all over the place. Let's check out what we have here for 97L GPS tracks. As you see, expecting it to strengthen to 1,005 millibars before affecting and making landfall for Cancun, the Yucatan Peninsula, strengthened to 1,001, and then going all the way up into possibly doing a weird looking turn, like a weird psycho turn. Could be because of high pressure, though, at 1,001 millibars for possibly Corpus Christi. We do have 1, 2, 3 models showing making landfall for Florida, but rather weak. A sub 1,010 millibar storm. I see the stronger, though, is actually leading to a western Gulf storm, which I also obviously don't see, but it could be the effect of 98L, because by the time this gets here in 120 hours, 98L could be right here, and it's going to be really bringing that effect to push it west here, because obviously we all know you can't have two storms so close to each other. If not, they're going to go opposite directions. So here, looking at the CMC model, this is actually, I believe, the newest one, I believe. And as you see, CMC shows both 97, 98L being at 1,006 millibars at the exact same time, and that is 72 hours. I know I've been saying CMC is has been the most generally reliable so far this year, but I think this is definitely under forecasting. This will definitely be 1,006 way before 3 days from now. But as you see, kind of going to a huge blow up though phase. I mean, 988 millibars based on CMC over the Grand Bahama Island could be seeing some big effects. Like I said, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, even St. Parish, you guys may not see direct landfall, but you guys will be seeing some big effects there. And look what CMC is showing, a 981 millibar storm affecting Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Keys, Northern Florida. Not Northern Florida, Northern Cuba, and then taking it out and possibly making landfall there between the Pensacola and Mobile, Alabama area. You see, I agree with the CMC once it gets to the landfall, but what I think will happen actually is it kind of goes up like this and then comes out like this. That's what I'm thinking. I really don't see it actually going that way because we'll have 97L right there. You can't have that. These storms super close to each other. Plus we'll have a high pressure kind of gearing it that way anyways up in Virginia. But yeah, that's what the CMC is showing, and then making landfall once again, kind of making two landfalls in Florida based on the CMC here. So just gotta keep a close eye on this. Icon and CMC have been pretty decent compared to GFS and Euro with this storm, and even NavGen. But look, 1,005 millibars in 75 hours according to the Icon. I mean, Icon and CMC need to wake up. I mean, they need to wake up. This will not be that low, that high pressure in 4 days. I'm sorry, that won't happen. I mean, if this thing could be a tropical depression today, that won't happen. Icon's doing something I haven't seen yet. 97L being stronger at that exact moment. I don't know. But according to the Icon, it makes a huge comeback. 98L makes a huge comeback at 989 millibars, heading towards the Keys, Everglades, Miami, Homestead, and possibly going to maybe do like that or like that. I'm not exactly sure. The Icon stops right there. And then Icon takes 97L straight for kind of maybe the Louisiana Parish area or Mississippi near Hattiesburg. Kind of really watching that as it stops there. Conditions. Obviously, we talked about SSTs. Now it's drier and moisture. Well, look at this. A huge, big moisture here. This is actually where 98L will be, and this is actually where 97L will be. So you kind of follow with a big moisture. So no dryer actually expected to affect these storms. So don't worry. This won't be a Josephine or Gonzalo. And then I see a ton of moisture that actually follows these storms there. So moisture should be fine. You're just like, oh, okay, moisture's fine. What about shear? Shear should be fine as well. Look at this. Very little shear here in this whole tropical Atlantic here off the coast of South America. And that's exactly where 97L is. And then if we go to the next coming days, you can kind of see, if we see, that is where 98L will be with that low pressure in up to less than 10 knots of shear. So, I mean, almost perfect conditions here. I mean, look at that huge, massive gap of some areas with 0 knots of shear. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's 2020. 0 knots of shear, 30 degrees Celsius. That doesn't go right. That does not go right. That all three things lead to something being big. I mean, all three of those things lead to something big. But we all know how the Gulf has the warmest waters this right now. Look what we have here. From the Bay of Campeche to the Florida Panhandle, less than 20 knots of shear. That is bound to bring at least a Category 2 storm. I mean, for 98L, not 97L, obviously. 98L, I mean, bound to bring a big storm here. I mean, conditions are all pointing towards a big system. Now that we checked all that, let's go and check out now what I think could happen. This is obviously not 100% accurate. It's still days out, so do not take my word 100%. But this is actually a very favorable outcome here. Alright guys, so this is actually an outcome that I think could possibly happen here with 98L. I actually made this around an hour ago, around that. Don't take my word 100%. Obviously, this is just a forecast and a prediction based on the atmospheric conditions and all of that. Obviously, you're like, oh, Adrian, no, not a single model shows this. Well, first of all, no model goes this far out. Second of all, we all know models aren't the most reliable this year. Obviously, I use them, but you can't rely with them 100%. And GFS Hero, these aren't even really showing it these really forming at all. All right, this light blue means tropical depression, so I do expect this to be tropical depression at least by tonight. I mean, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, and then you see the light blue. This light blue here means tropical storm, so I could expect this to be tropical storm as early as the next 12 hours here. And then I do expect this to be a tropical storm, obviously tropical storm before getting to the Lesser Antilles, and then as it gradually strengthens, doing more of a northern trend, so northwest trend. So going to avoid the main windward islands, possibly affect the far northern U.S. Virgin Island there, U.S. British Islands, and then this may not happen 100%, but I do expect this to maybe become a Cat 1 before or after passing Puerto Rico. Not direct landfall, but like going north of Puerto Rico. I do expect this to possibly be Cat 1. I do expect it to be a Cat 1 from that point on, all the way up before affecting the big Grand Bahama Island. I do think it could possibly strengthen right before going over the Grand Bahama Island as a Category 2 storm. If that is a Category 2 at the moment, Florida, northern Cuba, all the Bahamas will get affected by this. So really, you got to keep in mind the size of this storm. And then possibly making landfall as a Category 2 storm. I would put Category 3, but I did not want to put Category 3 this far out. I think Category 3 is possible. I'm not saying it's the most likely, but a Category 3 is possible, especially if it's going to be named as early as tonight, 11 p.m. If that happens, it could become a Category 3, especially the more north, the more it strengthens, the more north, which means the less land it impacts. So that obviously is a sign there. And then possibly making landfall, or at least southeastern Florida. I mean, I wouldn't give exact cities, but I would say that general area of southeastern Florida, possibly doing kind of an Irma track, but more to the east. And we all know how Irma kind of made landfall in Naples and then did this. I expect the complete opposite. I expected it to make landfall in eastern Florida instead of western, and then turning northeast instead of turning northwest. So it's kind of an Irma track until it makes landfall, basically. And then I do expect it to possibly weaken to a Cat 1, and that's going to bring some big effects for Savannah, Georgia, Jacksonville, Charleston, Myrtle Beach. I mean, you guys just saw Isaias in the first week of August. So, and then I do expect it to possibly strengthen back to Cat 2 force winds when it's kind of going around the Outer Banks, because we have very warm waters there and conditions are favorable, and then then weakening on at that point on once it goes further in the Atlantic, obviously. But this is actually just an outcome, not 100%. So guys, I hope you guys did enjoy this tropical forecast. Please do not forget to like and subscribe if we do have a very big, significant 11, or if we have a very big 8 p.m. advisory. I will do another video if there's something major, if it's not a tropical depression, or even if it's not really anything major, or significant, I wouldn't really make a video on it. But if it becomes a tropical depression, or if any other tracks change or anything like that, I will do another video, but do not rely on another video 100%.